Do you realize you might be chasing illusions that slither away the moment you nearly catch them? Brace yourself, because we're unraveling why the chase is your biggest trap. We often hear the words, work until your idols become your rivals, or the classic, hustle nonstop until you have what you want. But there's a lesser-known principle that twists this wisdom entirely. Do not chase what you want. Keep upgrading until it chases you. Why does that phrase feel contradictory yet oddly liberating? There's a radical shift in perspective here that upends the way we usually approach aspiration. First off, let's put the quote in context. It's not just a whimsical statement brushed onto a motivational poster. It's a window onto an entirely different pattern of thinking. It suggests that the endless pursuit can be the real barrier to achieving fulfillment. The moment we place ourselves in a hyperactive pursuit mode, we become fixated on the gap, on the lack of whatever it is we yearn for, rather than the reality we want to create. And that sense of lack can haunt us. This is where the dopamine chain begins. When you chase something relentlessly, each minor step forward triggers a mini dopamine reward, pushing you to chase harder. But ironically, the further you chase, the more elusive the target can become, especially if you're chasing from a mindset of scarcity. It's like trying to catch a reflection on water. The moment you dive in, the image ripples and disappears. That's the paradox we're exploring today. Why this chasing energy can become your own sabotage. In practice, this keep upgrading mantra means focusing on elevating your own value, your skills, your mindset, so that what you crave is naturally drawn to you. Picture it like building a magnet. If you're a weak magnet, you have to run around trying to catch iron filings that slip away through the cracks. But if you strengthen the magnet by refining your talents, boosting your self-worth, and living as if your dreams are already en route, those iron filings come rushing in. Not only does this align with certain spiritual philosophies like the law of attraction, it also makes intuitive sense in a psychologically grounded way. Energy flows where attention goes. Now, here's the big question. Why did we never see it coming? Because the typical success narrative is about working hard in the old pattern, chasing relentlessly, forging forward in a hyperactive sprint. But maybe that old pattern is meant to break. Imagine for a moment you're chasing a timid animal in the woods. The more you thrash around, the further it flees. But if you become still and patient, preparing the right environment, that animal might just wander back on its own terms. It's a shift from controlling to attracting, from fighting for scraps to enabling abundance. If this idea intrigues you, keep listening. We're about to examine the deeper mechanics behind visualizing your life as though you already have everything you desire, fueling that warmth that naturally draws your dream scenarios close. And we'll see how micro rewards, curiosity hooks, and even pattern interrupts keep us riveted to the chase, when perhaps we should be letting go. Stick around long enough, and you'll see precisely how your perceived obstacles can flip into stepping stones once you tune into this phenomenon, prompting real manifestation in your daily life. We've all been told to visualize our goals, but do we ever contemplate the real power buried in that practice? Visualization, if done from a place of longing, can be a fleeting daydream. From a place of certainty, however, it becomes the blueprint of transformation. Rather than simply conjuring images of a new car or a dream job, you create an experience in your mind that feels like it has already materialized. That subtle difference between wishing and knowing rips open a new dimension. Here's where a critical pattern interrupt emerges. Society has taught us to desire from deficits. I want this because I don't have it, or I need that because I'm empty without it. But if you treat visualization as an assumption of your future reality, like you're stepping into a scene that already belongs to you, something phenomenal happens. You diminish the sense of need and begin to cultivate the energy of having. The result? A shift in your magnetic field, if we use that term metaphorically, to pull the experiences you imagine right into your orbit. Let's consider self-worth. If you see yourself as incomplete, you'll chase forever. But if you upgrade who you are, building your knowledge, your network, your emotional resilience, and your skill set, your worth changes. The subtle and intangible undercurrent of I am valuable resonates in every action, every glance, every decision. And that's exactly what draws new possibilities and like-minded individuals into your sphere. People notice a power in you they can't quite name. They sense a confidence that says, I'm not chasing. I'm here, fully present, with or without your validation. Now let's talk about the micro-virality effect. You want to spread a certain aura, something that people can't help but notice. It's a kind of borrowed credibility, or maybe even implied controversy, because you're not playing by the old rules. Instead of clamoring for what's out there, you're standing in your sense of worth, letting the external world adjust to your new frequency. This can be unnerving or polarizing for some, but that's exactly the trick. The polarizing effect stirs strong reactions. Either, wow, I want to learn from this person, or I can't handle that kind of certainty. Either way, it creates a personal brand of magnetism. But how does this all tie into manifestation? Think of your mind as a transmitter, constantly emitting signals. If your signals say, I want, I lack, I need, you're broadcasting desperation. If your signals say, I have, I expect, I embrace, you're broadcasting fulfillment. And here's the big secret. The world tends to echo back the frequency you keep projecting. Sit with that for a moment, because it's more profound than it sounds. Next time you visualize, invert the usual structure. Don't start with I long for that new reality. Start by witnessing yourself in that new reality, engaged in the day-to-day details that prove it's already yours. Hear the engine of your new business humming in the background, smell the coffee in your sleek new office, watch the messages flood in from people wanting your expertise. Create a looped payoff. No more someday I'll get there, but rather in your mind, this is how my life is now. That's the subtle shift that triggers real momentum, sliding you from chasing into attracting. If this is starting to blow your mind, you're not alone. Most of us cling to the chase narrative, hardly questioning it. We assume success is always somewhere else, waiting to be caught. But the deeper truth is that, by upgrading ourselves, our mental frameworks, emotional stability, skill levels, and sense of worth, we don't have to force success. We become aligned with it, stepping into the role we originally only fantasized about. It's a small distinction that changes everything. One of the biggest illusions is that abundance is a privilege reserved for a select few. We watch millionaires and influencers and conclude they're lucky or naturally more gifted. Yet here's the raw honesty. The mindset of abundance doesn't come from just luck or money. It grows from an inner reservoir of self-belief. When you adopt an abundance mindset, you operate from a vantage point that says, there is enough to go around, and I'm worthy of having my share and more. It takes an emotional leap to break free from the gravitational pull of wanting energy. Wanting can feel like an itch you can't scratch. It's an emotional tension that sometimes propels us forward, but often it's laced with anxiety and a fear of not having enough. That anxiety can sabotage the very outcomes we seek, because we're making decisions from a place of scarcity rather than clarity. Think about the last time you chased a relationship or an opportunity, pouring out undeniable waves of desperation. Did you notice how often it slipped right through your fingers? The frequency you operated on practically repelled it. Abundance, by contrast, is the embodiment of I already have it, or it's already mine. There's a calmness in that, a sense of gratitude. You appreciate what's already in your life, and as you cultivate that appreciation, you notice more possibilities pooling around you, almost magnetically. This is where the real emotional anchor sets in. Gratitude, they say, is the key that unlocks the door to deeper fulfillment. The more grateful you are, the more you see what you could be grateful for. It's not some airy-fairy philosophy. It's a lived experience that rewires your mind to spot opportunities, align with supportive people, and maintain steady optimism even when times are rough. Now, don't mistake this for complacency. Adopting an abundance mindset doesn't mean you sit on the couch chanting mantras and waiting for wealth to fall from the sky. It's about integrating the feeling of having with tangible, daily action. You still work, you still strive, but you approach your tasks from a sense of flow rather than frenetic hustle. Inside that flow, your creativity spikes, your vision broadens, and ironically, you spot chances that hustle-blinded eyes would miss. The difference is you're generating velocity from a place of security, not fear. Imagine you're upgrading your inner operating system. The old version was glitchy, always seeking external validation, always measuring how far behind you are. The new version is stable, trusting that the path you're on is correct, that resources will come because they must when you're aligned with your purpose. It's like switching from a flickering candle in a dark room to a radiant lamp that reveals there's more space than you realized. This emotional pivot from wanting to having doesn't just feel better, it literally restructures your reality. Can you see how everything changes when you push past the illusions around you and realize you're not short on opportunities, you're short on perspective? When you awaken that perspective, you shift from being the beggar of circumstances to the architect of them. That's the real heart of manifestation, the emotional anchor that says, I don't just want, I embody the having. There's a hidden cost to wanting energy, and it's bigger than we think. It convinces us that we're always lacking, that no matter what we do or achieve, we remain in a deficit. Have you ever felt that hollowness after you get what you wanted, only to set your sights on something else instantly, repeating the cycle? That's the quiet tyranny of wanting. It takes a mental toll, often overshadowing moments that should be filled with joy. The chase intensifies, and the finish line moves perpetually just out of reach. But that's precisely why we use velocity hacking, an immediate context shift that spins your perspective so fast that you almost can't cling to your old habits. Think about that dream you keep chasing. What if you paused and asked yourself, how would I show up today if I already had the job, the relationship, the recognition I'm chasing? By priming your mind to act from a place of already having, you break the doom loop of want, wait, want again. And that's where your environment responds differently. People sense something new about you, like a puzzle piece clicking right into place. Midpoint mysteries are crucial here. Right now you might feel a bit torn. How do I strike a balance between wanting an outcome and living as if I have it? Isn't that contradictory? The tension you feel is the pivot point of transformation. By acknowledging the want, but residing in the energy of having, you're bridging the intangible with the real. You hold an image in your head of success while your feet are firmly grounded in daily action. This is the micro reward. Each day you wake up, you're not empty-handed. Your mindset is fueling you, and every moment is a fresh chance to build on what's already blossoming. Let's zoom in on borrowed credibility and implied controversy. Imagine referencing great thinkers or historical figures who exemplified this approach. They sometimes got labeled as dreamers or were misunderstood for their unwavering certainty. That's the implied controversy. People can't quite handle someone who's not visibly grappling for external validation. They love or hate them. Yet these individuals often ended up leaders of major movements or built empires from scratch. The trick is accepting the paradox of manifestation. You can't simply conjure a mansion out of thin air, but you can create the emotional and intellectual environment in which building or being offered the mansion becomes probable. Wanting alone is never enough. You need that magnetic aura of "this is my destiny, it's only a matter of time." Your decisions, your attitude, and your energy come together to make your life reflect that destiny. Notice how this perspective is not about complacency or blind optimism. It's about calibrating your internal state to resonate with the external world. So ask yourself, are you done being the eternal chaser, locked in an unending sprint? Or are you ready to build a life that naturally attracts what aligns with your true essence? Those are your two binary choices. Keep chasing and remain restless, or shift your energy and watch the chase come to you. The world rarely stands still. It moves in step with the energy you broadcast. The moment you stop seeing yourself as the one in pursuit is the exact moment your future turns its spotlight toward you. Even when we know the difference between living in wanting energy and living in having energy, the real challenge arises the moment desire rears its head again. The minute we spot something new on the horizon, maybe a lucrative offer, a spark of romance, or a prized possession, a subtle voice whispers, "Run after it." Because that's how most of us were programmed. See, want, chase, and so begins the cycle anew. Here's where the power of consistent self-upgrading truly shines. If you're actively elevating your skills, your mindset, your spiritual awareness, you reduce the temptation to revert to the chase. Instead, you position yourself in a state of readiness. You say, Let it come, because I'm prepared to handle it gracefully. This is an advanced balancing act, staying open enough to let opportunities find you, yet proactive enough that you recognize and seize them when they arrive. We tease out the final resolution by examining how we can shift from mere knowledge to actual practice. Knowledge of this principle is superficial if you can't bring yourself to feel it daily. You may intellectually comprehend that living as if you have it already attracts the thing you desire. But until you breathe it, until you make it your default emotional state, you're just playing with theories. True transformation happens when this becomes your baseline, when the chase impulse surfaces, but you gently pivot to that radiant center of I am enough, I have enough, and more is coming. This is also where the idea of the law of attraction merges with the practicality of building personal excellence. The critics might dismiss it as magical thinking, but the secret is blending unwavering belief with tangible growth. You don't only believe you deserve success, you cultivate the habits, learning, and discipline that make success the logical next step. That's how you tip the scales from wanting to having. It's the difference between saying, I want to be a best-selling author, and actually sitting down every day to master the craft of writing, all while carrying the confidence that your future bestsellers are inevitable. Yet we can't ignore the emotional flashpoints. There will be crises, moments when nothing seems to manifest despite your shift in energy. Ironically, that's a test. The old self wants to panic and push harder to chase the outcome. The higher self knows it must keep the frequency of having intact. That's the crucial juncture. If you hold steady and keep upgrading your approach, your skill, and your mental vantage, that outcome will eventually gravitate toward you. It might not appear exactly how or when you predicted, but it'll come in a form that resonates with your elevated state. Are you scanning your mind right now, wondering if this is simply too good to be true? That's the curiosity loop we're intentionally leaving open, because the real mastery comes from trying it yourself. Theory can only take you so far. Experience is the real teacher. You might be just one perspective shift away from discovering your entire life can pivot toward a realm of unstoppable abundance. The final step is daring to test that shift in your own day-to-day reality. Picture a life where you don't scramble for fleeting validation or scrape the bottom of the barrel for opportunities. Instead, you focus on sharpening your gifts, polishing your mindset, and upgrading your entire way of being so that all those elusive desires finally pivot and chase you. This isn't some distant myth. It's the practical application of an ancient principle woven into modern success stories, from entrepreneurs revolutionizing industries to artists reimagining cultural landscapes. Ready to put it into practice? Start with the smallest daily action. Visualize each morning as if your goals are lining up at your door, eager for you to open it. Affirm your worth with absolute conviction, not as a timid question but as an undeniable truth. Let that stance inform your every interaction. Remind yourself you're done with the endless chase. You're ready to resonate at the level where your dreams come knocking. Check in throughout the day. Do you feel the pang of wanting, or do you sense the calm of having? If you feel that pang, ask, what can I upgrade right now? Maybe it's cultivating a deeper gratitude practice. Maybe it's reading a chapter of an insightful book. Maybe it's refining a professional skill you've neglected. Each of those small upgrades compounds, sending signals beyond your conscious mind, signals that say, I'm moving into bigger territory, so come find me. That's how you systematically build your magnet. And over time, the shift from chasing illusions to welcoming realities becomes second nature. It might ignite some controversy among those who still grind away in the chase. Let them question. The best demonstration is your own transformation. As you pivot into a mindset of having, watch how synchronicities multiply. Chance meetings, random offers, unexpected breakthroughs. Are these mere coincidences, or are they the natural outgrowth of a psyche that has stepped into abundance? Here's your challenge. For the next week, intend to live every single day as though what you want is already surging toward you. Journal the changes in your thoughts, your emotions, and the surprises that roll in. Then comment below. What shifted for you? Did you notice new events, new opportunities, or a deeper sense of serenity in daily life? This is how you expand not just your personal destiny, but the collective conversation around what it means to succeed. So, do you dare to stop chasing and start upgrading? Are you prepared to step into the energy of having, calling forth the experiences that align with who you're becoming? Dive into the discussion below and share your perspective. Hit that like button if you feel a spark, subscribe to stay connected, and dare to live in a way that compels your desires to track you down. Because once you make that choice, you'll find the chase has reversed. The only question left is, will you be standing ready? Like, subscribe, and explore more.